So I have finally seen Fede Álvarez's Alien Romulus, and for the most part, it's a successful return to the iconic franchise. While I wouldn't put it on the level of, say, Ridley Scott's Alien or James Cameron's Aliens, I think it does a lot of things well, and particularly things that we've wanted to see return to the series for many years. One of those aspects is the horror and atmosphere that the original Alien nailed, and I think it mostly delivers on that, minus some execution come the end. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my review of Alien Romulus, discussing why I think it's a mostly great installment in the Alien series. There will be some brief spoilers in my analysis, so if you haven't seen the film yet, then I'd recommend watching it before checking out this video. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming films like Alien Romulus, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my review for Alien Romulus. So the charm of the Alien franchise lies in its ability to embrace a variety of unique filmmakers, each bringing their own visual styles and thematic explorations. Ridley Scott set the stage with his intense, thought-provoking horror thriller Alien, which then transitioned into the more action-packed vibe of James Cameron's Aliens. David Fincher infused Alien 3 with a more industrial aesthetic, while the eccentric French director Jean-Pierre Jeunet added his whimsical flair to Alien Resurrection. Scott later returned to the series with the sci-fi prequels Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and now Fede Álvarez, known for his work on Evil Dead, crafts Alien Romulus as a claustrophobic slasher film filled with gruesome gore where a team of younger characters are hunted down by the xenomorph. While Romulus showcases some skillfully crafted suspenseful moments, it grapples with the same dilemma that has troubled all Alien films since James Cameron's sequel Aliens. The challenge lies in recapturing the original sense of dread that the iconic xenomorph designed by H.R. Giger instilled in many audiences. Giger's creation tapped into deeper fears, but the original success of this approach also prevented the series from becoming the straightforward horror franchise that the studio envisioned. Ridley Scott's subsequent prequels, Prometheus and Alien Covenant, were also more philosophical, shifting the focus from sheer terror and becoming more explicit in their central ideas. I myself actually don't mind Scott's first prequel Prometheus, and over time I've come to appreciate it more as its own thing, regardless of the implications it left us with. But there's no denying that fans of the series, including myself, have wanted to see a return to that pure horror initiation that Scott's first film gave us. And the question is, does Romulus succeed in doing so? In the opening scene set in the dark mining colony of Jackson Star, we are introduced to Rain, portrayed by Cailee Spaeny, and her android half-brother Andy, played by David Jonsson. Rain has a dream to see sunlight and is determined to escape the confines of the mining colony with her brother and reach the planet of Vega. However, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation keeps shifting the requirements. Realizing that the corporation will never treat her fairly, she teams up with her former boyfriend Tyler and his team of friends to search for cryopods in a derelict ship above the colony, hoping to find a way to Vega. Little do they know, the space station Romulus Remus was retired for a very good reason. At the heart of this narrative lies the dynamic between Rain and Andy. As she contemplates their future together, she grapples with the possibility of leaving him behind. A software upgrade transforms Andy, granting him access to various sections of the ship, but also altering his demeanor to a more detached version. Originally designed by Rain's deceased father to prioritize her well-being, Andy's new programming shifts his focus to completing the Weyland Company's mission. His journey takes unexpected turns towards the conclusion of the film, and quite honestly, the way this builds on the connection between Rain and Andy is to me the most compelling aspect of the film's plot. If anything, I would have appreciated even more exploration of their relationship. But when Andy undergoes a transformation, he finds himself influenced by a compelling figure from the last Deadly Mission, a partially wrecked synthetic named Rook, who bears a big resemblance to someone familiar. In fact, Alvarez has resurrected Ash from Alien through a combination of voice work and facial scans. Now, there's this current trend of bringing deceased stars back to life, and it does raise ethical concerns with the actors' ongoing issues with maintaining control over their own likeness with the process of AI. Yes, the creators are not striving for realism with the presentation of Rook here, but it does feel weird, especially given the director's dedication to using practical sets in many other moments of the film, and that other practical work is done superbly. I didn't hate this character coming back like some did, but I didn't love the way it was visualized and executed. And when it comes to the rest of the cast included, they may not leave a lasting impression, but they certainly do all they can. Among them, Kay stands out as the most impactful and heart-wrenching character, enduring the worst trials posed by the aliens across all 3 acts of the film. While the new recruits may not be as unforgettable as previous characters in the franchise, there are still some noteworthy moments to savour, especially in relation to that mentioned dynamic between the 2 main leads. But while I liked the first 2 acts of the film and the approaches they took with elements like the main characters, the 3rd act is where I'm more mixed on the execution. At a pivotal moment in the final act, it appears that Rain, Kay and Andy are on the verge of escaping the Romulus station unscathed. This clever misdirection effectively draws the audience into a comforting illusion of safety. However, when Kay makes the fateful decision to inject herself with the alien substance that the android Rook had been attempting to transport, she spirals into a chaotic birthing process that disrupts the cryo Rain had hoped would save her. In a shocking display of body horror, Kay undergoes a violent delivery of an alien pod, which soon reveals that her unborn child has been grotesquely transformed by the black alien goo into a terrifying new entity. It emerges nearly fully formed as a hybrid human xenomorph dubbed the Offspring, bearing a striking resemblance to the engineers from Prometheus. Now, on one hand, the conclusion of Romulus pays tribute to several pivotal moments from the franchise, particularly highlighting the recurring theme of motherhood, thus having Kay give birth to a new creature feeling entirely fitting. The scene also echoes the final act of Prometheus and further serves as a nod to Alien Resurrection, where the alien queen births a hybrid due to her DNA being mixed with that of the Ripley clone. Additionally, towards the final act, we revisit one of the franchise's most memorable lines, but Romulus utilizes it in a way that feels awkward, detracting from the impressive moment right before when Andy stylishly takes down the xenomorph. It just comes off as lazy writing, and I think it would have been more impressive if it attempted using a fresh line that fans could recall and recite when thinking about this new movie. And similar to Ripley in the original Alien, Rain disposes of her alien by ejecting it from the ship. A lot of my main issues with the film come from this final 15 minutes, as while there is something from every movie in this ending act, it does feel forced in its approach and seems quite mishandled. The entire experience with The Offspring felt rushed, prioritizing the introduction of a new concept rather than delivering a strong conclusion to the narrative. Now yes, I do like the idea of the ending, and while it has been loosely done in different ways before, it does aim at evolving the core ideas of the franchise. But if you're going to do it, I think you can execute it a lot better. In fact, I even think that Prometheus's take on this in that film's final act was handled much better. So essentially, I think that the ending had a lot more potential, and if it was paced and integrated more smoothly after everything we had seen up to that point, I think it could have been much more effective. But one final aspect I cannot deny was impressive about Romulus was, for the most part, the practical filmmaking used throughout. The mining colony where the story unfolds is so intensely bleak that you find yourself wishing the film lingered there a little longer, harkening back to Scott's own world in his Blade Runner film. It's easy to understand though why the orphaned Rain is desperate to escape the colony, having never experienced sunlight, and they use this play of setting well to echo her arc and story. Once aboard the Romulus Remus, Gallo Olivarez's breathtaking cinematography captures the worn-down surroundings, illuminated by vibrant reds that evoke the haunting beauty of bygone eras. Additionally, Benjamin Wallfish's music resonates with a foreboding tone, occasionally turning sounds into electronic synth to maintain a constant, unsettling presence throughout the film. While certain aspects of the production may feel somewhat predictable at times, it's impossible to overlook the stunning art direction, striking lighting, intricate set design, impressive miniature work, and effective animatronics, along with mostly high-quality CGI. Together, they create a tangible and convincing world that heightens the tension of every moment. And yes, the CGI work on Rook and a few other elements in the film can be labelled as distracting, but its usage in many of the other areas of the movie was effective and not overbearing. So overall, the Alien franchise has undeniably set a high bar for filmmaking within its genre, and Alvarez has skillfully drawn viewers into bizarre realms filled with perilous creatures and the dark side of corporate ambition. His film is visually stunning, likely to earn Scott's approval, featuring breathtaking imagery and a hauntingly atmospheric score that echoes the earlier installments, all while instilling a palpable sense of impending doom. The gritty aesthetics of the worlds and spacecrafts evoke the essence of Scott's vision, paving the way for greater exploration. In the latter half of the film, Alvarez also pays homage to Cameron, delivering a thrill ride packed with suspense, frights, and action beats that will leave you entertained. It ultimately captures the allure of those first two entries, conjuring the same enigmatic atmosphere. Similar to the original film, this narrative revolves around the struggles of working-class individuals who are constantly thwarted by the oppressive forces of the nightmarish Weyland Corporation, only to encounter an even more lethal alien threat. I appreciated what Romulus brought to the table, and I believe this installment stands out as the finest one since Aliens. For me, it surpasses both the third and fourth films, and is notably superior to Scott's more recent addition in Alien Covenant. It got back to the classical Alien template, and other than some mishandling of a few nostalgic beats and the ending with the execution of the last 20 minutes, I think it does a solid job at bringing Alien back to where it should be. But that was my review of Alien Romulus. As a whole, the latest installment in the Alien series is the best in decades. Although I wouldn't put it alongside the original two Alien movies, I think it's a solid film that is better than most of the recent entries. The execution of the ending was what took it down a tier for me, and while I like the idea of it, I just think it could have been paced and integrated a bit better. But again, most of the film delivers on the horror that we wanted to see return to Alien, and there are many plot points and character elements in the film that do work well. So I'm giving Alien Romulus a rating of 8 out of 10. But to those who have already seen the film, what did you think of Fede Álvarez's latest film? Where would you rank it alongside the other Alien movies? And do you agree with some of the points that I have raised in my review? It's all subjective, and I appreciate a range of reactions and reviews, so let me know down below in the comment section what you thought about the film, alongside things that stood out with your first impressions. For more videos on upcoming film releases like Alien Romulus, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, rating, and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.